I'd like to call the May 6th full board meeting to order. And Kelly, if we could have a roll call for attendance.
Reagan. Forsythe.
Here.
Lightfoot. Sheridan. Smithers.
Here.
Denisha. Perkins. Hull. Fay. Haggard. Webster. Burke. Jeanette. Terminelli. Curran. 15 present.
14 present.
14 present, one
Yeah,
absent.
yeah. Legislator Reagan is excused this evening. Keep you on your toes. Mr. Denisha, would you lead us in prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then everyone please stand?
Dear Father in heaven, we are grateful for the opportunity to gather in your sight here this evening. Father, please be with us as we weigh the pros and cons of our constituents' requests. Give us, individually and as a body, the wisdom to best represent all the residents of St. Lawrence County. Father, we ask that you grant us the courage to work with one another in singularity of purpose, so that we might achieve solutions that are best and just for all. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4 tells us, and I quote, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit through factional motives, but with humility and regard others as more important than yourself. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others." Father, grant us the strength to be thankful for the blessings you have bestowed upon us, our families, and our nation, and allow us to cast aside all envious thoughts and wishes. For all these things, we ask your blessing through your Son, our Lord, Jesus Christ, through whose name all things are possible. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now I'd entertain a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda by Mr. Jeanette, seconded by Ms. Curran and Mr. Fay. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Could I get a motion for the approval of the minutes of April 1st, 15th, and 22nd? Moved by Ms. Curran, seconded by Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried. We'll move on to presentation of resolution. Mr. Sheridan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It gives me great pleasure to present this resolution that states how very proud your community, school, towns, and St. Lawrence County Board of Legislators are with your performance and your team effort. We are recognizing the excellence and the outstanding achievements in capturing the 2024 New York State NIFSVA Girls Basketball Championship. And the Hammond Red Devils, seated here tonight, have won back-to-back Girls Class D championships in 2023 and in 2024, and the fourth straight Girls Championships in school history. It should be noted that this team has been guided by head coach Alyssa Crosby with the assistance of Katina Dillon and John Arkwood. And on a side note, it should be noted that the former Hammond student head coach Alyssa Crosby has the distinction of scoring 1,000 points in high school and in Jefferson College, and that may help a little when you're trying to explain some of the success and the impressive championship seasons they've been having. In short, your families, your fathers, your moms.
Well, here's where I have to go to the car and wait.
Wait,
You have to listen to this.
do you have to listen? You follow?
I'll continue.
I believe that's Lisbon interfering with this, I think.
Well, I'll say it again. In short, your families, including most of the schools, but including your aunts and your uncles, your moms, your dads, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, your cousins, and all the friends that you know that are so proud of what you've done and what you've accomplished. And we hope you the greatest luck in your new endeavors as life goes on for you, and I'm sure you'll put to practice some of the skills you've learned about life and how the will to win and how important that is, and the importance of have some champions in our new generation. You're it. And so congratulations. We look forward to seeing you after this little resolution is passed. And we'll have some refreshments, and maybe we'll take some photographs. And we're looking forward to seeing you again. And it looks like this is getting to be a habit, so maybe next year we'll be doing the same thing. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for you to ask for a second.
Could I have a second? I guess that looks like by everybody, so everyone seconds this. Any discussion on the resolution? I'd just like to say congratulations again. This 2 years I've been here, 2 years you've been here. We're getting to know each other. I've been sent as a recruiting agent from Lisbon, so anyone that's kind of on the fence for next year, you know, we can always talk about it later. But we couldn't be more proud of you. Yeah, outstanding job. It was fun to watch, and your families, your friends, your relatives got to be just as happy as can be. So congratulations to all of you. So with that, I'd like to recognize, first of all, the coaching staff. I'll do you as a group, the coaching staff. Oh, you want to vote on that? So all in favor of the resolution? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carried. So now I'd like to recognize the vote, or the coaches. We have Athletic Director Eric Whitcomb. We have Head Coach Alyssa Crosby. We have assistant coaches John Arquette and Katina Dillon. We have team manager Raylan Law and bookkeeper Olivia Crosby. Now to the player. Now we'll do the presentation of certificates. Bill, if you'd come up. I'm going to call you one by one. Come up and get your picture taken with Mr. Sheridan, and congratulations again. Okay. First up, we have Jocelyn Bush. Oh, can I get a picture taken? Next one up, Rayleigh Downs. Making you feel better? Next one up is Addison Graveline. Next we have Micaiah Green. Are you going to be ready for next year, or how's this looking? Next up is Josephine Hodgkin. We now have Ava Howie. did forget to mention one thing. How many girls here, if you raise your hand quick, are from Morristown? 2, 3, 4. By the way, this is a merger program with Morristown and Hammond, so recognize Morristown as well. Always had great athletes from Morristown too. So, Michaela Jones. Next up is Landry Kenyon. I think you're in trouble on this one, Bill. We have Shay Rosenbarker. Maya Tully. Is it Mia or Maya? Of course it'd be. Tell your parents they spelled it wrong. Addison
I
Webster.
joined just Zoom audio by phone, and it's better.
And last but not least, Isabel Woodcock. And did I forget anybody? I think we got it. Now we're going to take a quick recess, get a picture out on the steps probably, because it's so nice out. And congratulations once again to all of you. Thank you. Oh, there's refreshments too. Harry, if you take your seat, I think, let's move on to communications. Kelly?
A thank you card was received from legislator Haggard for flowers received. A thank you card was received from the family of Noreen Sheridan for flowers received and all the support and prayers in the passing of legislator Sheridan's mother. A resolution was received from Sullivan County urging the development of an equitable county chargeback formula and takeover health insurance for community colleges. A resolution was received from Greene County adopting a local law superseding the Public Officers Law, Section 3.1, as to the residency of certain public officers, assistant public defenders in Greene County.
That's it? Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to citizen participation. Any citizen wanting to address the board is asked to stand at the microphone and state their name before beginning their talk. The citizen participation will be in the form of an oral address directed to the members of the board, although legislators or staff will not have the opportunity to answer questions or respond to talk at this time. This part of the agenda is not a time for audio-visual PowerPoint presentations or performances, and the address will be limited to a time of 5 minutes. Is there anyone here who'd like to address the board? Come on down.
I'm here tonight because I'm a little upset at how it was.
Not to interrupt, but state your name first. Let's see who you're talking.
Mary Jane Youngs.
All right.
I'm upset how the ash trees were taken down on my property. And I'm very upset that I wasn't allowed to keep the wood when I was told many times I could. I also have the letter, if anybody would like to read it, that was sent to me saying no after I was told no. I did call Rita Kern. She has been very good at trying to help me with this. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You take your time.
I feel I was treated very badly. At the end, I did have the sheriffs called on me. I just wanted them to finally tell me why. I was told by the arborist, whatever, that I could keep them. Rita had talked to his supervisor. I was told I could keep them. Both the flagmen that worked for the guy said, yeah, you're supposed to be able to keep the wood. But I'm gonna call him Mr. Attitude. His name was Zare. Was very rude, very ignorant, would not talk to Rita Kern the day I called, nothing. So I'm very upset. I feel it could have been handled differently. I do not feel it's actually the legislators' fault. I feel it's Soil and Water's fault. I don't know what the solution is, but I feel as a taxpayer, I could have been treated a little different, and I feel, you know, I did blow up at the guy when I first met. He was marking the trees because he was way over on my property, you know, so I did blow up at him. But him and I, at the end, we did talk, and he said, yeah, I'll let you keep the trees. I understand where you're coming from. And when I said to him, you know, a 10-year-old looked at the trees one day when we were waiting for the bus and said, what would happen if all the trees were gone? I don't know what. He said, we wouldn't be able to breathe because, you know, they're good for the air. And I almost cried. I think at 10 years old, you're telling me this. And here, there was 202 trees taken off my property from thumb size up. I counted them. Yes, I'm miserable. I mean, but I counted them. And what I don't understand is 2 trees were partly cut that were not marked and left standing. And there's other ash trees that probably should have been taken. They're in the same right-of-way. I was told the right-of-way was 24.5, but if I want to, I can go up to 33. Okay, you can go up to 33? Who said that? My supervisor. He let on the supervisor was the county road supervisor. It wasn't Soil and Water. They could not even tell me, the supervisor in Soil and Water could not tell me what the right-of-way was. She had to call the county guy. Come on, you should have been able to go to the guy that's doing this and got the information. So there was a lot of red flags. I feel that I was also told really quick here. I was also told by Aaron that they had already done the contract for the 1st of November, but I had until like the 3rd of November to get mine in to say I wanted the wood. But I guess it's not signed yet, so we're okay. And I'm like, what? If I have until the 1st and I hand it to you on the 2nd, and my trees are already cut, you've broke the contract, the letter that. My son never even got a letter, and they took trees off from him, and he burns them too, you know? It's like, why didn't he even get a letter? So there was a lot of things that went on that I'm very upset with. But I do feel it was because Zaire said, I have a contract not with you. I don't care if the sheriff shows up. I don't have time to do trimming and cutting trees. I said, excuse me, cut them down, lay them into the field. That's all you gotta do. You don't even have to trim them. I don't care, I'm not talking to you. I've already been told you'd be out here bitching at me and all you do is bitch. I'm like, okay. So, you know, we've had, but I do feel I should have been allowed to keep the trees, especially when I said just cut them and lay them down. There's no trimming them, no nothing. But he trimmed everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that didn't get letters, because I talked to somebody else and they said, I don't remember ever getting a letter from them. If I did, you know, I didn't respond to it because I really didn't care. There was only maybe 3 or 4 trees that they took out. You know, it's been, and I do have like the letters and stuff that was sent to me, and I did send them to Rita Curran. So, thank you guys for letting me come.
Thank you.
Oh.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Okay, we'll move on to presentation of the resolutions. We'll start with Mr. Hull, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a resolution modifying the 2024 budget for community services for funding received from opioid settlement funds from New York State Office of Addiction Services and Support to expand access to the mobile treatment clinic.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Fay, Mr. Jeanette, and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this is a roll call vote. Kelly, please.
Webster? Burke? Jeanette? Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull?
Aye.
Fay? Haggard? 14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hull.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a resolution modifying the 2024 budget for community services to accept the Stop DWI program aid to localities distribution from the State of New York Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jeanette, Ms. Curran, and Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this is a roll call vote also.
Burke? Jeanette? Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan? Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull?
Aye.
Fay? Haggard? Webster? 14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hull.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a resolution modifying the 2024 budget for the Traffic Safety Program to include the Child Passenger Safety Grant funding 2023 through 2024 for community services.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Smithers, Ms. Curran, Mr. Jeanette, and Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? No discussion, a roll call vote. Kelly, please.
Jeanette?
Aye.
Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers? Denisha? Perkins? Hull?
Aye.
Fay? Haggard? Webster? Burke? 14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hull.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a resolution modifying the 2024 community services budget for an outreach and engagement clinic model grant.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Fay, and Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? Seeing Seeing no discussion, let's do the roll call vote.
Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull?
Aye.
Fay? Haggard? Webster? Burke? Jeanette?
Aye.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a resolution modifying the 2024 budget for community services for funding from OASIS SAPT Block Grant Comprehensive Integrated Outpatient Treatment Program.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Burke, Mr. Smithers, and Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing no discussion, this is a roll call vote also.
Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull?
Aye.
Fay? Haggard? Webster? Burke? Jeanette?
Aye.
Terminelli? 14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move a resolution proclaiming May as Lyme and Tick-Borne Disease Awareness Month in St. Lawrence County.
And do I have a second? Ms. Curran, Mr. Smithers, and Mr. Fay. Is there an amendment to go with? Oh, go ahead, Mr.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment under the third whereas, amending the number 700 to 250, just a drafting error to reflect our actual county numbers.
Okay. I need a second for friendly amendment. I need a second, Mr. Button, for the friendly amendment? Everyone okay with the friendly amendment? Okay, so back to the resolution. Any discussion on the resolution? First, Mr. Smithers, then Ms. Curran.
I'd like to thank you for bringing this forward. I think actually the number is probably much higher. A lot of people that get infected that don't report it or get treated, but it is a serious thing and not to be discounted, can have serious consequences that last for a long time.
Thank you. Ms. Curran?
You took some of my thunder, Harry, but if the tick is embedded in you for more than 48 hours, you need to go someplace, get seen, and get antibiotics. Usually if it's just 48 hours, they'll give you 1 dose of something, but it should be treated. And if you start developing a bullseye rash later, even if you don't see a tick, that needs to be checked out too. You need blood work, so follow up with your primary care physician.
Thank you, Ms. Curran. Anyone else? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Northern Area Health Education Center for domestic violence awareness training.
And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jeanette and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move a resolution authorizing the chair to sign a contract with MVP Healthcare Incorporated, MVP Select Care Incorporated, MVP affiliates for the purposes of clinic billing.
And is there a second? Second by Ms. Curran and Mr. Perkins. Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move a resolution proclaiming May as Older Americans Month. 2024 theme is Powered by Connection.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Denisha, Mr. Jeanette, Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move a resolution authorizing summer youth interns for the Youth Bureau.
And is there a second by Mr. Smithers, Mr. Jeanette, Ms. Curran? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Curran.
Can we start by correcting the spelling error in number 9, proclaiming May as Older Americans Month? The theme is powered by connection, but it's spelled Poswered. Can we fix that? In the title of 9, the title for us is spelled wrong. There's a spelling error.
Okay, we can do that by friendly amendment.
Yes, please.
We've already voted on it, but yeah, we'll add that. Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
So the next up,
back to Ms. Kern.
I move a motion to adopt the St. Lawrence County 2024 Coordinated Transportation Plan.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Jeanette and Mr. Fay. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I move a resolution modifying the 2024 budget for the Sheriff's Office for the purchase of uniforms for the Sheriff's Correctional Facility.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins, Mr. Webster. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this is a roll call vote. Kelly?
Forsythe,
Yes.
Lightfoot. Sheridan,
Yes.
Smithers. Denisha. Perkins. Hull. Fay. Haggard. Webster. Burke. Jeanette. Terminelli. Curran.
Aye.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I move a resolution accepting the fiscal year 23 Operation Stone Garden Program grant from New York State Division of Homeland Security and modify the 2024 budget for the Sheriff's Office.
And do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, this will be a roll call.
Lightfoot. Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Denisha. Perkins. Hull. Fay. Haggard. Webster. Burke. Jeanette. Terminelli. Curran.
Aye.
Forsythe.
Yes.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution urging New York State legislature to reject Senate Bill S. 8461, known as the Sporting Range Good Neighbor Act.
Seconded by Mr. Denisha and Mr. Jeanette and Mr. Webster and Mr. Sheridan and Mr. Hull, and Mr. Fay. Any discussion? Ms. Terminelli.
Thank you, and I won't spend a lot of time belaboring this. I think I was quite clear on my frustration that we have, a resolution that we could all get behind and support because we know how important education and safety in and around, gun use, hunting, all of that stuff is. And I would support that resolution until we stick in that fifth whereas, insinuating that this resolution or that this bill is being brought forward as a guise of an environmentally friendly bill as a way to limit the exercise of Second Amendment activity. And I just really wish as a board that we could have eliminated that whereas so that we could all be in favor of this resolution and have it brought forward to the representatives as a, as a unanimous body. So it's just unfortunate that sometimes we have to find division and be split over, I guess, the intent behind resolutions or bills.
So noted. Any other discussion? Seeing no discussion, you want to do this as a roll call?
Yes.
Let's do it as a roll call.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Smithers.
Yes.
Denisha. Perkins. Hull. Fay. Haggard. Webster. Burke. Jeanette. Terminelli. No. Curran.
Aye.
Forsythe.
Yes.
Lightfoot. 12 yes, 2 no, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution setting a date for public hearing on proposed local law C for the year 2024, a local law of the County of St. Lawrence imposing the wireless communications surcharges pursuant to the authority of tax law 186-G.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot and Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion on the resolution? Mr. Burke's up first.
As I said during committee, it's a new tax. I don't support it. And a lot of the whereas, we've already, what the money might be used for, we've already funded them. And I guess we could also ask for a new tax for highway, even though we've already funded that. I don't understand it. It's a new tax and I won't support it.
Thank you. Mr. Lightfoot, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to point out that this is a resolution authorizing a public hearing on the topic. What better way to get the input from the public than to offer them a forum at a public hearing to make comments one way or the other about it. I think it's the proper way to go. It isn't saying aye or nay to a resolution that would authorize this user fee, but it is certainly a vehicle that needs to be used to get to that point, if in fact we decide to bring a resolution forward. So again, I just emphasize, it is for, if you vote yes, a public hearing on a date given. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lightfoot. Anyone else? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Mr. Burke. So noted. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution calling on the governor to complete enhanced federal medical assistance percentages reconciliations that are years overdue and provide a full accounting of the funds owed to counties and to New York City and schedule a release of these federal funds.
Seconded by Mr. Denisha and Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution supporting the extension on the allowing school psychologists to provide services in the early intervention.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion on this resolution? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution calling on the state to increase the salary cap for retired public employees seeking county employment.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Jeanette. Any discussion? Ms. Kern, or Ms. Haggard, I'm sorry.
I just want to point out that this was done for teachers over the last few years where there's a huge need, and it really got a lot of retirees out and back into the classroom to fill in that gap. So I will support this.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution calling on the state to fully reimburse counties for district attorney salary increases that are set and controlled by the state.
Seconded by Mr. Denisha. Any discussion? Mr. Denisha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I look at this as just as yet another, a continuing unfunded mandate by New York State. New York State makes laws, they make the rules, and we're the ones that have to incur the cost.
So noted. Anyone else? All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Kern.
I have a resolution urging the governor and the state legislature to restore essential fundings for rabies in the fiscal 24 and 25 state budget.
And is there a second? Second by Mr. Jeanette and Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? Does anyone know if there's been any rabies cases yet? I'd just be curious. I haven't heard of any yet. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Curran.
I have a resolution supporting Senate Bill S 2695-B and Assembly Bill A 7086-A to ensure sheriffs and undersheriffs continue to have police officer powers.
And is there a second? Second by Mr. Webster, Mr. Hull, Mr. Fay, Mr. Jeanette. Did I miss anyone? Mr. Burke, did I miss you? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Curran.
I have a resolution encouraging Governor Kathy Hochul and the New York State Legislature to increase the medication-assisted treatment, also known as MAT, budget allocations for county jails.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Burke and Mr. Fay. Speaking of unfunded mandates, any discussion? Ms. Curran.
One of the things that gets affected when it's not properly funded is when we discharge someone from the county facility, we don't have to necessarily give them very much medicine to go with them, and then we set them up with an appointment. You know, it's hard because it's money you can't even bill for. And so we just have a hard time running the program when it's not properly funded. Sometimes these people are discharged and they have 3 or 4 weeks before they're gonna go someplace and have a provider that can prescribe for them. But we don't have the ability to send weeks' worth of medicine out the door.
Anyone else? I'm thinking that maybe we ought to encourage the state to make inmates Medicaid eligible and not take that benefit away. And that would alleviate a lot of the cost of the medical that goes on. But that's just a thought. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for setting a date for the public hearing on proposed local law D for the year 2024, amending local law 1 for the year 2018, a local law permitting and regulating all terrain vehicle operation on certain county roads.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Perkins and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Oh, and Mr. Sheridan. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Barton and Longidus. Judas, I still can't get it right. Yeah, sorry.
No, Judas.
You know, the Pittsburgher, I know. DPC to provide entertainment, environmental services to prepare Appendix A for the new trial segment in town of Edwards, including the final generic impact study for the multi-use recreational trail.
And do I have a second? Second by Ms. Curran. Mr. Perkins. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
This resolution is for modifying the 2024 budget for the county administrator's office for the multi-use recreational trail.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Curran and Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion on the resolution? No discussion. This is a roll call vote, please.
Smithers?
Yes.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull? Fay? Haggard? Webster? Burke? Jeanette? Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
14 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with with National Grid for relocation of utilities regarding the Brown Falls Bridge project.
And is there a second? Second by Mr. Denisha and Ms. Curran. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for amending the official county highway map to reflect a transfer of property between St. Lawrence County and the town of Fowler.
And a second by Mr. Smithers, Mr. Sheridan, and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Go ahead, Mr. Smithers.
Yeah, this is a small change. It's a very short section of road, and it just, looking at it, makes sense to do this. So something that's probably been thought about for a long time and finally coming to the forefront to be done.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All in favor of the resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Slate Hill Constructors for a replacement of Town Line Road Bridge over Lisbon Creek, BIN 3366670, Town of Oswegatchie.
Seconded by Ms. Curran and Mr. Lightfoot. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Doyle, are these government students in the back that I signed the blank piece of paper for? Okay, who knows why we do a roll call vote as opposed to a group vote? Come on. Nope, there's 15 of us. Anytime we have to modify our budget, modification to the budget, it has to be done by all as a roll call, and the rest are just as a group. Anytime we modify the budget, whenever you see modify, it's a roll call vote. I'm going to give you a test on it Friday, so don't forget that. All right. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a lease with Waste Stream Incorporated, DBA Casella Waste Services, for the lease of equipment for the solid waste department.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Smithers and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a memorandum for understanding with the Development Authority of North Country for collection of disposed paint.
And is there a second? Second by Ms. Curran and Mr. Burke. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing settlement of property damage claim associated with Allen Falls Roads Bridge in the town of Parrishville.
And is there a second? By Mr. Perkins and Ms. Curran. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Clarkson University regarding the St. Lawrence County multi-use trail system.
And is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Perkins, Mr. Sheridan, Mr. Webster. Did I miss anyone? Mr. Fay. Any discussion? Mr. Smithers.
Yeah, this is a good resolution. I'm very happy to see us working with the college. I hope that we continue to do that more as time goes on.
Thank you. Anyone else? Being no further discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for authorizing the chair to sign a contract with Jada Environmental Services under the Blighted Property Program for the demolition and abatement of 2 condemned structures.
And is there a second? By Ms. Terminelli and Ms. Curran. Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for recognizing the good work being done by the correctional officers and the correctional employees at the St. Lawrence County Correctional Facility.
Seconded by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Sheridan, Ms. Curran, Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Terminelli, and Mr. Webster. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for declaring May 15th, 2024 to be Peace Officer Memorial Day in St. Lawrence County.
And is there a second by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Curran, Ms. Terminelli, Mr. Smithers, Mr. Sheridan? Any discussion? No further discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution is for supporting an application to the New York State Connect All County Partnerships Program and committing matching funds.
And is there a second? Second by Ms. Terminelli, Mrs. Haggard, Ms. Curran. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer a resolution authorizing the filling of vacancies and move for its adoption.
And I need a second by Ms. Curran, Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Webster. Any discussion? Mr. Smithers.
On these asterisks, which indicate new positions, it's correct that some other positions have been abolished, so it's not like we're adding, correct? Just to make that clear.
That's my understanding, yeah. Yeah. Any further discussion? Ms. Doyle, you want to?
I was just going to indicate that the be it further resolved underneath identifies which positions are abolished with the adoption of this resolution and their position numbers.
Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor of the resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Lightfoot, would you do this one for me, please? Well, we may just have to skip this one. And do I have a second by Mr. Fay, Mrs. Haggard, Mr. Smithers, Mr. Burke, Ms. Terminelli, Mr. Denisha, Mr. Perkins? Any discussion? Mrs. Haggard.
I just want to point out our current Democratic election commissioner does a fantastic job, and she's very fair, and she works in a bipartisan way. So I would wholeheartedly support this. Thank you.
No partiality whatsoever, right? Perfect. Anyone else? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. Mr. Webster, you're up.
Resolution accepting and recommending of a committee appointed to review of the arming of the probation officers in St. Lawrence County.
And a second by Mr. Jeanette, Mr. Perkins, Ms. Curran, Mr. Hull. Any discussion? Mr. Webster?
Can I ask for a roll call vote?
Certainly. Yep.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? I'd just like to thank you for bringing it forward. I tasked you with that early on in your career, and you've done an outstanding job coming up with a resolution, so let's see how she plays out. Roll call vote. Kelly, please.
Denisha? Perkins? Hull? Fay? Haggard? Webster? Burke? Jeanette? Terminelli? Curran? Forsythe?
Yes.
Lightfoot? Sheridan?
Yes.
Smithers?
Yes.
13 yes, 1 no, 1 absent.
Motion carried. Mr. Denisha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I offer a resolution supporting a request by the town of DeKalb for enactment of New York State Senate Bill S. 8791 and Assembly Bill A. 9514, authorizing the town of DeKalb in the county of St. Lawrence to reduce the maximum speed limit on a portion of US Route 11. Move for its adoption.
And we have a second by Ms. Curran and Mr. Smithers. Any discussion? Mr. Denisha?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been an ongoing issue for a number of years. And probably 10 years ago, maybe a bit more, due to a number of accidents, close calls, caution light was installed. And that has really, it looks nice, but I don't think most folks pay any attention to it. Since then, there have been a number of accidents. And 4 years ago, the town of DeKalb enacted a resolution, talked with our elected reps in Albany, and this board actually supported the request by the town of DeKalb and town of Herman then. Traffic study was completed, and what we had asked for, simply asked for, was a reduced speed from 55 to 45, 1/2 mile north of the entrance to the school and 1/2 mile south. New York State DOT, for whatever reason, they decided instead of putting up a couple signs and some increased law enforcement presence, that they spend, I guess, upwards of $300,000 to $400,000 changing the traffic pattern, which had absolutely no effect on the root cause. Since then, there was another fatality about 3 months ago, the same place. The interaction with school buses has not lessened. So we're, Town of DeKalb, Town of Herman, and the Board of Education for the Herman DeKalb Central School is taking another run at it. We have had meetings with Senator Steck. We've had meetings with Senator Walczyk's rep, Senator Blankenbush, and again, there is some movement, but I would like the support of the St. Lawrence County Board.
Thank you. Mr. Smithers?
Yeah, this is something that absolutely needs to be done. I drive by there on the way here to the meeting, and the playing fields, there's sports going on right there next to the road, and cars, like legislator Denisha said, they don't really pay attention to the caution light there, because when I slow down, they come right up behind me, and it just doesn't have the effect that you'd want to see, where people slow down coming up to the school, and it's definitely a safety factor. There needs to be a reduced speed there. Most schools have a reduced speed zone next to the school. Why this doesn't is beyond me. It definitely should be done.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I have an analogy between caution lights and trespassing signs. I find that the good people pay attention, and sometimes the others just don't care. So, all in favor of the resolution? Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thanks for bringing that forward, Larry. County Administrator's report.
A few updates for you this evening. First, I wanted to mention that on all of your desks this evening, there are your 2024 budget books. In the new format, we'll continue to print the tentative budgets in the longer full account form, but these include a tremendous amount of data about the county, along with the department that you weren't receiving in the general budget books that we were previously providing. So if you have questions or as you go through it, things come up, please let us know. With May being Older Americans Month, I will again follow Legislator Denisha's lead and ask for all of you to recruit volunteer drivers. Very important, great need as always, but always welcoming and needing more drivers. Lots of activities closed out County Government Month in April. The first Spend a Day with Law Enforcement was very well received in the county. I want to thank the sheriff and his staff for working on that along with many other agencies. We had 420 students from 12 school districts, including participation from our BOCES. Also, the Trash Dash, which I shared with you, we had our highest enrollment this year, is in its 4th year, collecting refuse along county roadways, and it's had its best year yet. 1,300 pounds of garbage was collected in Gouverneur, Rensselaer Falls, Potsdam, Ogdensburg, and Messina. A big thank you to all Trash Dashers and the school districts for promoting the event and allowing students to attend. Vacancy review is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. We have 15 positions to take a look at. There are 3 abolish and create. There is 1 request to create a new position and 11 to be filled. We are currently at a 9% vacancy rate, and I'll add more to that next meeting when I provide you with the summary following our meeting. The committee working on our active shooter drill in the county courthouse is continuing to prepare for the event later this year. Next month, we'll be holding a tabletop exercise to walk through the plans, address questions and concerns. This is a great partnership. I shared with you the visit that I made to an active shooter drill in Messina. Also very important, I think, to bring to attention the need, both in the county courthouse, mixed use between the county and the courts, but also our other county facilities as well. So our hope is, following the execution of this drill, that we're able to scale it down and utilize it in our other facilities around the county. This year, our plans are to conduct the drill up to neutralizing the threat. And in 2025, our goal will be to host a drill from the point of neutralizing the threat through reunification with families. That's not an area that has been trained on enough. That's an important piece of the process, and more time is being spent learning how to manage this part of the process and to execute well. So I'll be talking with each of you individually about your comfort level with either participating or observing, or any time you might have available to understand what's going to be happening on that day. A capital projects update for you, the public safety complex, as well as the old jail. I have to say, and I've been sharing with the chairman, our job sites have been kept extremely tidy. We're moving along on schedule, and we are planning at the public safety complex to welcome BOCES students in the building trades and the HVAC program on June 3rd to share both the opportunity to sit in on a contractor meeting for that week and to go over, have a tour, and be able to have conversations with the plumbers and the mechanics and all the folks involved working on the project, so that they can see a real life project right here in Canton active. So we're looking forward to that as well. The old jail, our roof progress continues between rainy days. We've had lots of those, but we're working now, you may have noticed when you came in, on the sheriff's house portion of the roof. Not as easy to tell on the other portions of the roof, being that they're flat, but the angled roof on the sheriff's house is starting to come together. And then it's my understanding they'll continue their work on the pillars that have been poured and to bring the porch back together. Last week, the Department of Labor was on site, and they confirmed with us today that they're content with their visit and don't have any recommendations. So we're quite pleased to hear that as well. Last week, I met in our quarterly meeting with Community Services. This is probably 2 or 3 years now in the schedule that we go over both productivity for counselors and providers, as well as improvement plans associated with that. So we're continuing. We don't always have reason to meet each quarter, but when we do, we have an opportunity to sit down and go through things in the department. And I can share that information with you as well. In the front for social services, as a follow-up to the program quality improvement review that received a great deal of attention in 2020, OCFS recently conducted another review, and that would be for 2024. And they included the staff. They came to Canton and sat down with the staff because there has been a remarkable improvement in the performance in that time. And so what I want to do is to share their updated review with you, and as well as a copy of the 2020 version, so that you can compare and see the progress being made in the department. The investment made by the county into staff, into smart devices and vehicles has improved the efforts by the department, but certainly there is always, always more work to do. Last month, the board approved a partnership between the county and the city of Ogdensburg as it relates to the 207A and 207C claims processed by the city. And in the final iteration of the budget, as you may recall, the resolution identified an opportunity for a shared services agreement. And in the final iteration of the budget, the shared services program has officially sunset. So while we'll continue with the opportunity to work with the city, when I shared the agreement with the state, they indicated that they weren't able to continue the program. So we won't see that former benefit that was available to us. And then lastly, just to mention, as the resolution has now been adopted, accepting the recommendations for the arming of probation officers, it really means the real work will now begin. And I just want to mention that, returning the information to the board in resolution form, policies, procedures, logistics, the cost to the department, the impact bargaining that we'll have to do with CSEA, and of course, budgeting for 2025 will all come back before the board for consideration. But I want to thank you for reviewing this important issue carefully and for protecting our employees. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for the administrator? Seeing no questions, let's move on to old business. Anyone have any old business? Anyone have any new business? Mr. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I have on my desk here is some water from the Deer River, and I've just sent around an email to you guys showing you some pictures now. So Mr. Lightfoot and I have been contacted about some issues with the Deer River. I know this is very hard to see from here. It's very cloudy. So what we're seeing in it is whey being dumped into the water at Deer River. Right now, there are no fish anymore in the Deer River. This has totally taken over. If you'd like to see some hairy rocks, then I suggest come to the Deer River, because as you saw in the pictures, the way this even congeals, everything allows for everything to pass over, but it does grab. And over 2 years, again, from a river that actually has a nice flow to it, right? It's not stagnant. Again, look at the pictures. You can see it collects, and that was from a month ago. It's getting systemically worse. And I also feel that if the Deer River wasn't snaking around like it does, and these were straight shots, like the next branch that this will hit is the St. Regis, which I'm on, and then after the St. Regis, straight in the St. Lawrence. So in 2 years, again, this is what I'm getting from my people. In 2 years, it has moved down 10 miles, and if the dumping just keeps getting worse and worse, and when do we stop this, and what happens? How far does this have to go? Then we're gonna have to dredge everything and clean everything out. I've ran this up to Randall Young at the beginning of April. I followed up with 2 emails. I've had our county attorney help me out with getting some paperwork as well. Again, I brought in Joe, and then there's a big collection of citizens up in North Lawrence that are going to be storming this gate here next month if we don't get some traction here. So again, I've been trying to get this analyzed. Nobody wants to talk to me about it. So yes, if I could get some help from anybody, I'd really thoroughly appreciate it. Again, if we could do this now, it'll save us a lot of public interaction on the first of the month next month. And but yeah, we need to get this going, because again, it's just a matter of time that it's going to affect everything. So water is our best resource, right? So
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else for new business? Mr. Perkin.
I guess I'd just like to ask, the whey, where is this coming from?
It would be coming from the North Lawrence dairy.
Thank you.
And it's not hard to track. You can literally see it if you look down off the bridge. Yeah, that's as far as like I could go, right? I can't get onto the lagoons and stuff, but I mean, it's not hard to watch it flow. So.
All right, thank you. Mr. Smithers.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. You mentioned no fish in the river. What about other kinds of?
I've no wildlife. I haven't seen any frogs. There's no turtles. Barely. Like, I will say it's nice there wasn't any bugs. because they're, right, because there's nothing there to sustain a life, but it's just, and you can watch it just keep piling up. So I haven't got to walk down to the mouth to see how far down, right? But, and back to your fish question, sorry. But everybody who lives on that is there for like the fishing and everything else, and they're the ones, they're not there, so.
Have you contacted DEC? I can't believe they wouldn't be
I
concerned
contacted,
about this.
I sent an email to, if you look at the email I sent you, you'll see that is the email that I sent to the DEC on April 2nd. And I agree with you, I don't know why they haven't contacted me either. And I followed up with them as well, so.
You all said, Mr. Lightfoot?
John asked me to participate in looking at this with him, and I must tell you that this is no small amount of whatever this stuff is flowing in that river. To stand and look at it, and it's a rather fast-moving river by the looks of things. The whitish material that is going through there is visible, and it isn't the occasional strand or chunk or piece, whatever you want to call it. This is a lot of stuff coming through here, spread out, you know, not in a big glob or anything, but white, grayish, yellowish material in the water for as far out as you can see, you know, before the angle on the light on the top of the water prevents you from looking down into it. Along the shoreline, if there's a tree branch down or something, that tends to grab onto this stuff, and here you see it floating in the water attached to this vegetable material that is laying in the water. So to me, I can't imagine, particularly in light of what John just said about no fish, no turtles, and the color of that water is something. If the St. Lawrence were like that, we'd have people out there in a moment. And it seems like with the DEC, they have other things to do. So I'm hoping that they will somehow get on board with this. I'm hoping that the press is listening in on this tonight. I'm hoping that we see something in the front page about it. There are people up there that are interested. I don't even represent the area, and I've gotten 2 calls from people up there. So I think that John is doing a service to everybody up there by bringing this forward, bringing it to our attention, and asking for a collective, help me and try and get something done to clean this up. Because if nothing is done, it isn't going to get any better. It's not going to go any way, and whatever's being dumped in that river is going to continue to get dumped there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lightfoot. Mr. Burke?
When Senator Steck was here, he made the offer of acting as an advocate to the different departments. And, maybe we could all ask him to find out why the DEC hasn't responded to John's inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Going right through my train of thought here. Anyone else? Mr. Lightfoot, I just want to correct one small thing. We all represent Deer River in our roundabout way. And thank you for bringing it up. I never even heard about it, John. So, no, I appreciate it. And Mr. Sheridan, when's Fish and Wildlife Region 6 meet again? I think they met in March, June?
I've been on that for about the last 3 or 4 months with Senator Stexter, who's still in the Drainage office, and Senator Wolf's office, trying to get an answer from the person who's in charge of Fish and Wildlife. And we, at this point, still do not have a
Oh, yeah.
9 months ago.
Yeah.
And so I've been on it, pushing it. Supposed to know the next week, but Senator's office gets anything back yet. Our chairman of the Fish and Wildlife sent a letter out.
Yep.
To have it reprioritized on the list. And still haven't.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Terminelli?
I was just going to share, Randy Young from the DEC joins us for our monthly EMC meetings as well, and we meet on the 15th, so I've already written this down as something to bring to his attention.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Yeah,
Terminelli.
you bet.
Anyone else? Thanks again, John. I had a chance Saturday night, I attended Lisbon's Fire Department EMS 100-year anniversary. It was very well attended. It was at the Quality of Life Building in Ogdensburg, Lisbon. Assemblyman Gray was there, the sheriff, Sheriff Engel was there, and most importantly, Senator Steck was there. Senator Steck drove up and drove back 3.5 hours. He left that dinner at 9:30 and got home a little after 1. And to me, that speaks volumes about his goals for the North Country and how he takes his job seriously. So I applauded him at the meeting as well, and anyone that'll do that, they got my vote every time, so. Any committee reports? Do we have any committee reports? Seeing no committee reports, do we have a need for executive session?
We do for litigation, negotiations, personnel, which is the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. And we have appointments.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session? And now moving on to appointments. Ms. Curran?
For the Emergency Services Advisory Committee, Mike Abrunzo, 542 State Highway 131, Messina, New York.
And do I have a second? By Mr. Jeanette and Mr. Fay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. And under finance, Mr. Jeanette, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have Robert McNeil of 10673 State Highway 37 of Lisbon, and James Smith, 7105 County Route 27 of Canton.
And do I have a second for those appointments? Second by Mr. Lightfoot, Mr. Fay, and Ms. Curran. Any discussion on those two? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. There's no chair's appointment. Have a good night.